have a tier list post beginning of Journeys, Mighty's Contenders, and the new ban list that just came out. We're going to be talking about some of the decks that were included in here and talk about if these decks got even more powerful or if they stayed the same or even gotten worse. Of course, guys, this is the beginning format tier list. I can't wait to do a end of format tier list to see what we got right and get wrong, because a lot of times we're right. Branded did get some solid support with the new Albion Dragon coming out, and that does make this deck a little bit more toxic. If Gimmick Puppet Nightmare doesn't get banned, expect to see that combo going around a lot more. The deck has been pretty solid with Branded Fusion at 1, and I gotta say that I was wrong the last time about this deck, but it's rounding out to be a really, really solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck, especially if Guiding Quimp also comes out in this pack. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be a really good deck. Black Wings finally get the card that they need with Bestial Dispatter, and it actually does make the deck a lot better than what it used to be. And the reason why is because with Bestial Dispatter, the Bestial engine becomes a lot more powerful, but more importantly, it doesn't make Black Wings reliant on particular cards to be able to make a combo. So before Bestial Dispatter, the deck needed cards to be able to make combo. Now it can make other combos with other cards, making it a little bit more consistent in that avenue. Not its main combo, but still giving it other chances. It's going to be borderline. Blue Eyes, even with 100 Apple Dragon, is still going to be a real challenge, guys. I think that it's going to be really good to have that for Blue Eyes, but it's not direct support to make it amazing. Chaos shouldn't even be here, but I'm more and more inclined to think that this is just a real challenge type Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Maybe I was on Hopium because of what we've seen Solstice and a couple of other Chaos players do with this particular strategy, but it is a fun gimmick strategy, kind of like Blue Eyes and also Dark Magician, another real challenge deck. I'm also inclined to put Dark Worlds in the other real challenge deck. This is a deck that we took to borderline or takes a good pilot, but as the months start to go on, we start to realize the flaws with Dark World, the timer. Players are going to start playing more Bestials, not only because of Mathmech, but because Branded can facilitate it, and there's going to be Bestial Dispatter to help you first turn combo. So I'm going to put it in a real challenge. We've also seen a lot of players main board roll in Master Duel, which I think is crazy. Now, Dinos have been linked to get some of the new Transcendosaurus support. Xenoground is crazy. The Fusion Monster, crazy. The support is actually a lot better. The problem with Dinos is that those cards don't make it a little bit more consistent. But regardless, it does give the deck some crazy other avenues to be powerful. I'm going to put it in borderline for right now, mainly because a dedicated Dino player can make the deck really, really scary to deal with. And even if you aren't a competent Yu-Gi-Oh player, it's still fairly easy to play if you just follow the lines. It's a pretty solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. I'm going to put Dogmatica into takes a really good pilot. This deck still can win games by taking out the extra deck of certain strategies, but there are a lot of good Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that just don't need their extra deck or will benefit from it and completely clap you up. Ignister technically did get support with Performa Pow Monkey Board. I'm going to put this as probably one of the better Pendulum decks. It's actually, the Monkey Board combo actually does make scales for this deck. It does make the deck a lot more powerful. It makes it stronger, but it doesn't necessarily solve a lot of Pendulum problems, which Kashtira Shangri era, Kashtira Riceheart being prevalent, those are still existing as cards. And on top of that, the deck just needing a huge brain to be able to pilot, where other decks do the same thing, make the same boards, but do it with less complications. Dragon, Masters level Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Dispatter is going to completely change the trajectory of this deck. You probably should be happy about the hits that are happening on Master Duel with Chaos Space and cards, whatnot, because this deck does take it to a whole nother level. It's going to be even more powerful and even more scary. It's going to be a very good deck. Kashtira still is the bane of this deck's existence, but Kashtira isn't even the best deck in Master Duel right now. So, okay. I also think Exosister moves up a notch to solid choice. Exosister is really good against decks like Dragons. Anytime there's a lot of graveyard manipulation, and there's going to be a solid amount of graveyard manipulation for this deck to be able to be successful. Fluendereese takes a good pilot. All of the hits for Fluendereese really does hurt the deck. You almost feel bad for this deck, but then you start to realize that it's Fluendereese. Like, you don't want to deal with that type of strategy, right? We're going to go with Furhire. I think Furhire did have a huge blow with Runic Fountain to 1. I don't really see a lot of spell and trap removal outside of Mathmech, but I would still say that this deck is probably borderline, probably even to takes a really good pilot. That Runic Fountain hit is crazy bad for the deck. I'm not sure if it'll be able to survive. Galaxy Eyes, it's one of our favorite real challenge decks, but I think we have to address it for what it is. It's a deck that's not good enough to be able to win in Master Duel state. I will say though, Bestial Dispatter does, I'm just saying it do make it a little bit stronger, but that's us hoping right now. That's coping. Generator, I think Generator is better than real challenge, but not good enough to take a really good pilot. What Generator players need is that new Runic level 9 monster. Once it gets that, I think this deck probably goes up to borderline to possibly even solid choice. The hand loop is crazy for this deck. And then there's still some other cards that could make Generator viable. But for right now, I think takes a really good pilot is there. Pure Kashtira, I think is solid. I don't think Pure Kashtira is the strongest deck in Master Duel. I don't even really think it's close. Kashtira is a deck that came out for Master Duel and didn't have the impact that it did in OCG and TCG. So kudos to Konami for not making this the most oppressive deck in the entire world, while still maintaining its presence as a strategy. It's a solid Yu-Gi-Oh strategy. Labyrinth does not necessarily get stronger, but it ain't getting weaker. The Stovey Torby hit is almost non-existent, and there are a lot of strategies that this deck just plays a really good contrast to. Like, for example, dragons don't really go well against Labyrinth when they go first, and a lot of strategies cannot handle Labyrinth when going first. I would say Marine Sets is probably borderline right here. It's not a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck. These borderline decks, they're really good. They're almost like takes a really good pilot, except they have free win conditions. Like how Dinos can OTK out of nowhere. Black Wings pretty much play for free with the new disc pattern. This Runic deck still draws a million times if you don't take care of Fountain. And Marine Sets just has a lot of hand traps. World Sea Dragons, Elantis that will just win for free for you. Same thing with Heroes, 100% borderline. This deck also wins for free just off of the strength of Master of Dark Law. It's almost like a weaker Kashtira or Rice Heart, but it does have better benefits of not being able to banish your own cards, and also is a better overall card when it comes to fairness and playability. Like, I mean, obviously we know Arise Heart's better than Dark Law, but Dark Law has so many other perks that you surround it with to make it a great card. Mathmech is still a Masters level Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Konami they're kind of joking when they hit the Mathmech Diameter. They really meant to hit Mathmech Circular, and that's not me coping right here. It's going to happen, right? It does take away the deck's long game, which is a pretty good thing, and does make it fall in line against decks like Dragon Link, and makes it easier for Labyrinth to go against. Ninjas, yeah, let's just go ahead and say what it is, guys. I would put Ninjas in a real challenge. This deck is just... yeah, that whole copium phase we went through, it's still by far the hardest deck that we got to Masters with. I don't see Sprite here, so Melfi Sprite normally is the strongest, but I'm just going to say Sprite overall. I think Sprite overall is in that borderline situation. It doesn't really have a lot of things that win for free. It does allow you to dodge a lot of hand traps that are being used other than Max C, which is pretty cool. But Sprite has been hit so many times, its free win conditions have been taken away. I would say it's a borderline deck. Naturia Beast and Naturia Barkion go crazy. I think that those is like the best thing that the deck has going for it. But outside of that, that Runic hit is crazy bad. Plunder Patrol. Okay, so we have a dark deck, a light deck. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I think Plunder Patrol is a lot better than what people give credit. It's one of those decks like Exosister where, like, if there's a lot of decks that play the attributes that Plunder Patrol can play into, it becomes better. So Plunder Patrol does have both sides of the Adventure Engine and the Runic Engine hit, but it also has the ability to give your opponent a token, which is like a free win against Kashtira. I think it's a lot better than what people are giving it credit. I would say Punk still takes a really good pilot. We're going to need those Gold Pride cards to come out. And Pearly would probably round out as a Masters level Yu-Gi-Oh deck right now. It didn't necessarily get a lot stronger, but it did not get worse by any means. It's still a really solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And it's really, really good. Once we get X-Pearly Noir, crazy. The hits actually probably make it the solid choice. I almost forgot about those hits. The Delicious Memory to 2 and the Pearly to 2. I'm kind of skeptical to put it at Masters level. I think solid choice is actually a little bit better because it can't get into that combo until we get Noir yet. We're going to put Rika into Solid Choice. It probably is one of the most solid decks in existence of Yu-Gi-Oh! Problem is Maxi. The Pearly kits aren't bad, but it does ruin your consistency. Thinking about it, if you lose one Pearly and one Delicious Memory, it's almost like how Branded lost their the spell card, Branded Opening. It's almost like how they lost a Branded Opening and an Oliver. Almost exactly how they lost that. It didn't necessarily kill the deck, but it did make the deck a lot weaker. That's pretty much the same thing that happens with Pearly here. So you definitely have to bring it down a slot to Solid Choice, right? Still a really good deck and has potential to be Masters tier, but Solid Choice is probably where we would put it. Scarecrow still probably is the better Cash Tira deck. And if I had to put these decks in order, it would... Okay, so Branded... Yeah, Branded's probably Masters level. We're probably capping when we say Branded is this low. We'd probably put this in this order, and then this in like this order right here. Sword Soul, the deck's just completely power crept. It's not great right now. Tier Limit, yeah, this is not going to be a good format for Tier Limit. Like, Cash Tira goes Burrow on Tier Limit. Dragons go Burrow on Tier Limit. If we see a lot more Bestial monsters, expect this deck to be played less. This deck is inconsistent. It's not good. I will stand on this heel. There's going to be a lot of people that say Thunder Dragon is really good. But stop lying, guys. Come on now. Let's be real. Colo Boy has not been a good card so far in Master Duel. It's actually been crazy. And I'm talking about since the existence of Master Duel, this card has not been crazy. Like, it hasn't been ridiculous, even though you think it would. I would put Trap Tricks and Takes a really good pilot, possibly even borderline, probably even borderline. And the reason why I would move it up to borderline is because the Bestial monsters do not affect Trap Tricks. It's actually a solid deck going first. I just hate it going second. That's why I want to put it in. It Takes a really good pilot. So I think it's pretty much stuck here. Out of all of the Takes a good pilot decks, I'd probably go in something like this as an order. I think Trap Tricks has the ability to be borderline, but it doesn't really have any unfair cards. And that's what would probably separate it from Takes a good pilot to borderline, right? Firewall decks. Stop. Just stop, guys. Nouvelle, please. Stop cooking. Just don't cook. Don't do it. I think everybody like now realizes that this deck is not it, my boys. It's just not. I have been flip-flopping the opinion on Vanquis Soul. And the biggest reason is because I've been trying to check my bias. I don't want to bring bias into these tier lists. I want to bring you an actual analysis of my thoughts and opinions. I think, personally, this is a Masters level Yu-Gi-Oh deck. But there are no unfair cards. There are no ridiculously unfair cards that would put it into Masters level. I'm not even going to cap. There is nothing unfair about Vanquis Soul. It is the most fair deck. Snow Devil is probably the closest we're going to get to the most busted thing. And that probably falls in line to borderline because it does have that one card that can win you games, but you got to use your brain to play. And that's pretty much what borderline has been. Tri-Brigade Zodiac. I don't know. The Lyra Lusk and the Tri-Brigade? I don't know. That might be crazy. That might be a little bit crazy. Zodiac got Zodiac Trident, Zodiac Ratpier. Zodiac Trident is an unfair Yu-Gi-Oh card. It turns one monster into up to 5 interruptions. Because you go Ratpier, then you overlay a few Zodiac Xyz, then you get to the Trident. That is an unfair. It's just unfair as hell. That's unfair. The Zodiac monsters are printed as unfair. And 3 Zodiac Barrage? I think Zodiac has an opportunity to be borderline. It can be really, really good. To be honest, in my Vanquis Soul deck, I might play the Zodiac package. Now, you guys are going to be crazy on where I put Gate Guardian. I think Gate Guardian is actually... Gate Guardian Cash Tira might be the second best Cash Tira deck. Maybe. Now, hear me out. This is from a copium perspective, all right? So let me put it in borderline. This deck can fusion summon from the graveyard. It just slaps a fusion monster. The Cash Tira cards like Cash Tira Birth actually allow you to summon the Gate Guardian. Now, here's where you guys are going to have to like check it. Like seriously, I'm really on to something. A couple of very competitive friends. I mean, world's qualifiers competitive friends. Some of the best players in the game were testing with Gate Guardian when it first came out to the TCG. The problem with Gate Guardian is that regular Kashtira was just better in every aspect, right? But Kashtira Gate Guardian was not a bad deck whatsoever. In this particular format, we know that Kashtira is shaky, but get Gate Guardian cards, I'm telling you guys, if I had all of the Kashtira cards made, I'd really consider playing Gate Guardian because it is a solid Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Borderline, because it does have unfair fusion summons. Monadium coming out. So when Monadium came out, it was a bad Yu-Gi-Oh deck. And then players were like, oh, just wait for the new support. Just wait for the new support. Just wait for the new support. I think Maxi is going to be a huge factor to why Monadium will be good or not. I'm going to put it in solid choice because Vicious Astrolaud is one of the most dumbest cards in the game, right? There's no reframing, no Amortara, no Samsara, so it's actually weak to hand traps. Never mind, we're going to put it in Borderline. But Vicious Astrolaud is one of the most unfairly printed Yu-Gi-Oh cards to ever exist. I'm telling you guys that right now. It's literally what I said about Gate Guardian. It's a free monster. It's a destruction. It's a level 8 for your tins. It's kind of crazy. This card's actually really, really good. Dinomorphia, it didn't get new support like Dinos did, so I'm going to put it in takes a really good pilot. Still a solid deck. These two decks, I mean, come on, Performapal Pure, let's put it there. And the Magician cards, because of Monkey Board, I'm going to put in takes a really good pilot as well. This is what I have for my Master Duel tier list. Of course, if you guys have any disagreements, can't wait to see them down below in the comment section. Overall, I think that this is pretty much what the Master Duel format is going to shape up to be. And it's going to be really, really fun. The Dragon Ruler cards, they're mid. They help these particular strategies, but they're not good enough to even mention inside of the deck. Let me know what you guys have to think, and I'll catch you on the next one.